Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the One Talk podcast. You have your host, Ryan McCarthy. And today we are joined by Beau Brooks. Beau is the founder of Lookup Clothing Brand and is also one of the founding members of the internet sensation group, the Janoskians. In today's episode, we touched a lot on around Beau's journey post Janoskians, especially with addiction. And we touched a lot on sobriety, the challenges that come with that, and also how he built resilience and willpower and the positive impacts overcoming addiction that has had in his life. And we also touched on how Beau is preparing for a marathon, how he's inspired to create the Lookup Clothing Brand and the mission with that, and also how he's somewhat wanting to reinvent himself in the world today. And to see his journey and to hear the path that he's been on is so inspiring, and especially with how honest and raw he is about his own journey and about his own mindset, and especially about his own goals that he wants to achieve and how he's doing it. So in today's episode, there's so much juicy details and I can't wait for you all to dive in and check it out. In other news, if you could please leave this podcast a rating, it means so much in terms of helping this podcast grow and reaching a larger audience. So if you're on Spotify or Apple, if you could please leave a rating. If you're on YouTube, if you could please subscribe as well. It would mean so much and I appreciate it heaps. But without further ado, let's welcome Beau.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. The marathon continue. Victory lap tonight, though. Victory lap tonight.
Welcome to the One Talk podcast with Ryan McCarthy.
The marathon continues. That's what you were saying.
Welcome, Beau. How are you, brother?
Good, Ryan. Thank you so much for having me, bro.
No worries at all. Thank you for coming on the One Talk podcast today. Before we get into it, I want to share a story with you because as I was preparing for this podcast, it made me reflect on my own journey with content creation with my podcast. I've been doing this for about 6 years in total in terms of the message I've been pushing. And when I was reflecting on it, I started to realize my first ever piece of content was actually inspired by the Janoskians.
No way, really?
Yeah, so you think
Wow.
back to 2012, I think it was 2013, I put up my first ever video on YouTube of me doing the milk challenge.
Wow. Holy crap, bro. What a full circle.
Yeah, legit.
So crazy to see that people were inspired by kind of the comedy side of things that we're doing. And now it's like I'm on the same wavelength with the people that I'm doing interviews with, and even the audience. We're all on the same wavelength. And it's kind of crazy how the internet has allowed us to project the same message going through the same time because everybody is kind of on the same wavelength. Now it's kind of, how can I self-improve? How can I make myself better? How can I become a better version of myself, which you have been doing for about 6 years. And I've only just tapped into it in the past 14 months since my sobriety. So yeah, it's so beautiful to see a full circle.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man, because that's why I love that aspect of social media, because I've heard people say social media is bad and all these things, but I believe it's like anything in life. It depends on how you use it. And I find social media can be a very positive thing if you are going on there and pushing a good message, or if you are on there learning things or connecting with people and network. And I feel like there's so many positives that do come from being on social media. Like even just watching the Janoskians back in the day to now where you are with your journey at the moment now with self-development and seeing you grow and evolve. It's just so great to be able to use social media in that way.
Yeah, well, I've said this before. With a weak mindset, you see everything as a problem. So I used to see social media as a big problem and just look at all the negatives. With a healthy mindset, you see everything as an opportunity, and which is what social media is. It's an opportunity to be able to relate to the people in your community and come up together, sharing a positive message. And I've just tapped into it into my social media, as you've probably seen, which is why you've reached out to me with sobriety and mental health, and yeah, doing everything that you possibly can to share a good message and to become a better version of yourself every single day. And I know it's a lot easier said on social media than what it is to implement into your own life. Sometimes it's annoying listening to these people, such as myself, speak about it all the time. But if one person can take just a small thing out of social media and incorporate in real life away from the screen, then that's like kind of our job's done.
100%. And I feel like touching on the first bit you said there, it relates to this saying that I love where it goes, where focus goes, energy flows. So where we direct our focus, the energy is going to flow around that. And that's what our experience is going to be with that exact thing that we're focusing on. Especially with the daily improvement as well, especially one of my concepts of life is just aim at 1% improvement daily. Because I think too many people, and I've definitely been someone like this in the past, where you try and do too much at once in terms of grow and evolve, where you kind of just burn yourself out and back up at square one. I feel like if you take the step by step forward 1% daily, you're really able to achieve and get to these places in life that you want to get to.
Yeah, yeah, and that's like I started off with one thing and put all my focus and energy into the one thing until I allowed myself to open up to other things to improve on. So for me, it started with sobriety and just focusing on sobriety and just saying, I'm not going to drink and I'm not going to go to parties and I'm just going to, like, yeah, take myself away from that life. And then other things started to open for me. And yeah, that was kind of just the first improvement that I focused on and kind of always where I come back to when I feel like life is getting too hectic. I can look back now and say, I've accomplished sobriety. I'm proud of myself, and then kind of go on from there.
Yeah, 100%, brother. And yeah, good stuff. Proud of you for being able to make those steps and follow your own vision and where you want to go to, and actually have the resilience to keep going because becoming sober is not easy at all. Talking about personal experience, the reason why I started on this journey and became so passionate is because I was addicted to drugs from the age of 11 and I got sober at 18. And then
Wow.
now I'm 26, so I've been sober for about roughly 8 years. And the path to getting sober is not easy, especially when we live in a culture where it's so normalized to get on it per se. And to be able to try and find new environments or to try and get the environment you're in to understand your own path to help you grow. Like with yourself, like what was the first couple of days within your own mindset that you had to really set up, or some fundamentals you had to set up to really help you get on the path of sobriety, you reckon?
First, I want to congratulate you. 8 years is such a big accomplishment. You should be so, so proud of yourself. And I'm sure everyone around you is as well.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, 8 years. Wow. That's what I aspire to reach eventually. So, yeah,
Oh,
great.
you'll get there, bro, for sure.
Yeah, I believe so. Sorry, what was your question?
Like on the earlier days when you first started to think about getting sober, like when the idea came about, what's some of
Yeah.
the things you started to look forward to really help you stay, I guess, committed to sobriety?
Yeah, that's a really good one. One thing that really kept me in line and in tune was focusing on my exercise goals. Because when I found exercise released that dopamine that the substance brought to me. So when I would push myself to my absolute limits and then push past that point is when I'd get that big rush of dopamine and something in my brain saying like you're the man, kind of like what, sorry if this is a bit disturbing, but kind of like what cocaine did for me. Cocaine kind of made me feel like I was the man and kind of like gave me this really false sense of confidence, which is nothing compared to the dopamine rush that you get from exercising. So I started to plan goals around my exercising. And at the start, it was gym, and I was like measuring kind of my muscles. And it was how big can I get my muscles? And that was my focus that kept me away from substance. And to think that if I drink alcohol, it's going to stop me from recovering my muscles. So that's going to set back my goals. It's also not going to make me go as hard in the gym as what I'd like to. So yeah, that kept me away for yeah the first part of sobriety.
That's awesome, man. I always find that physical exercise is probably one of the best places to start. Because when I first got sober, the first thing I did was get into a gym and start training.
Yeah,
Because I find like when you go into like an exercise space, usually everyone's there with a similar mission of like trying to change the course of their life or trying to make little tweaks to improve themselves. And I feel like, especially with the owner of the gym I went to, was like a really good mentor for me in that part of my journey. But I find starting with exercise is such a great point because like with that confidence piece you get as well, like from similar to cocaine. I found that exact same myself, like that unstoppable oomph energy that you get.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like that can then motivate you to do more things throughout your day. So like if you start your day with exercise, can
Mm.
kind of motivate you to do more things during the day because you've had that dopamine release already.
Yeah, yeah. And also I find that it really tires me out too. It allows me to get all my energy out. And so for anyone watching right now that goes to the gym and then straight away from the gym goes and has a small nap, I want to let you know that that is completely okay. And you should not be hard on yourself for doing that. But after your nap, or well, after I nap, I do find a huge amount of energy throughout the day, mainly because I do feel accomplished and I've got the hard stuff out of the way first. And then everything else just feels so easy. So it's definitely kind of like a spiral up from, yeah, morning exercise
Yeah,
into the.
I'm great you touched on that because I feel like it's a good way to build within yourself like a reward system because battling or going for addiction like we both have, it's so easy to get those hits of dopamine. It's so easy to, fall into the trap of just abusing substances. Then once you start doing things like getting uncomfortable and going to the gym, then you get the reward of those same neurochemicals you would get from drugs. It's like you actually have like a sense of being proud rather than having a sense of being regretful and guilt.
Yeah, which is what the big come down from what alcohol and substance does. It plays such a big. It causes a lot of yeah, negativity to come into your life because sometimes the come downs are going on for days, and you just don't feel like doing anything. It's yeah.
Yeah. So like what type of exercise did you really love getting into when you first got into? Was it mainly just weightlifting or did you love getting into like endurance stuff too?
Yeah, so at the start it was weightlifting until I found that was kind of just getting repetitive for me, and I needed something more to stimulate me, more of a challenge. So I started running and I signed up for a marathon, and so I fell in love with endurance, and I've completely like I'm trying to incorporate weightlifting throughout my week, but I'm really focusing on running, swimming, and cycling. And I find that very challenging and stimulating and gives me the same kind of reward response that weightlifting gives me.
Yeah. Did you also like, did you do much exercise when you were growing up as a kid? Like, did you play sports or was exercise more something that you developed like later on in life?
No, as a kid, I always did a lot of exercise. I was in like tennis, swimming, soccer, football, pretty much everything that I could get my hands on to. And yeah, I liked it as a kid, but as I got older and got into addiction, I kind of lost that love for it. It kind of faded away, and I just forgot about it. And coming out of it, I was just reminded of like, yeah, what it brings to me, the joy that it brings to me, and the community that you can build with it.
Yeah, 100. I feel like that's a good piece of information for people that may be on the path that they may be abusing substances is to go back to something you used to love in the past that you might have given up. Like yourself,
Yeah,
it's exercise and sports. For me, when I started to get heavy into drugs, I quit soccer because I grew up just obsessed with soccer. Then about 14, I completely quit. Then probably last year, I got back into it and I realized like how much joy it brought in my life. And just really getting back into things that really you grew up on that really brought you a lot of happiness and fulfillment. Eh?
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I can just see like my my younger self just looking at myself right now and the man that I've become, just being so proud of myself, saying, yes, like we made it. Like this is the person that we've always wanted to be. So yeah, tap into that inner child because that inner child intuitively knows the best version of yourself and reflect on that and yeah, make your inner child proud.
Hmm. I love that because I feel like a lot of us, we have to be the parents or in the child that we never had when we were growing up. It's like really listening to that version of ourselves and figuring out what they need. Because I find a lot of our insecurities or a lot of our habits that pushes along the way of a path that we don't want to be on is just we're not listening to that side of our inner child of what their needs are.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And now that I've got sober, I feel like my inner child is coming out a lot more because I'm starting to see all the people that do party and the people that are around me when growing up, that was also around me. And I remember being scared of that and being scared of that world. Now that I'm sober, I realize that world is scary as well. It's yeah, it is a full circle. And if you are still in addiction, one message I'd like for you to realize is just to step back and to realize what your life could be if you step back and looked at the world from an outside perspective of all the partying and all that stuff going on, and how you can give your input to make not only your life better, but the people around you better as well.
Yeah, because it impacts your environment, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. Yeah. It still impacts. It's probably something that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. Like my world has been impacted by my wrong decisions. And it's probably something that I'm going to have to carry out and watch unfold for the rest of my life. And I'm going to have to watch a lot of people die before I do because of some decisions that I had made in my past. And that's something that I have to live with, is that I'm going to outlive people in my life because of the decisions that I made. And that can be very lonely and isolating.
How do you, I guess, how do you cope through that? How do you regulate? Like, how do you really sit with that and become at peace with that? Do you have any practices that you do that really help you with that weight on your shoulders?
Yeah. How do you just have to, like, for me, it's just I accept that's just what life is.
Mm.
And it's beautiful and it's weird and it's sad, but I love it. And it's something that I tell myself, I guess, at words of affirmation really help me, is that I chose to be here and this is life. And I'm just doing the best that I possibly can. And I wish everyone else the best. And that's all you can really do.
Yeah, because I saw that today's day 6 of Get Sober with Me in 30 days. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Today.
and you talked about today the importance of journaling, and I find that's a really good way to connect with yourself and understand your own thought processes. Like, what impact has journaling had on you, and like, why is that so important?
So I love journaling for many reasons. So I journal at different times of the days, and one time of the day that I journal is right before I go to sleep, and this really helps me because after I've got all digital devices out of my room, I've had a hot shower, my body temperature starts to cool down. I read just to get to absorb some last bit of information, and then the last thing I do before I go to sleep is I journal. And what this does is it gets all those circling thoughts out of my mind and onto the bit of paper. Because you know, when you go to bed and you can't sleep because your mind is just ticking and you're thinking, physically getting that out onto a piece of paper will help just relax you, calm you down, and bring you into sweet nothing. It can also help you reflect on your day and things that you'd like to go better. Also, you can write down your accomplishments, see what you're proud about, but you can also write the goals for your next day. So you're not thinking in your head, oh, I've got to do this tomorrow. I've got to wake up and feed the dog, or you can just write it all down and then it's mapped out for you for the next day. So that really, really helps me. And then I also like to journal in the morning as well, to go over everything that I wrote the night before of what I have to do today. And if anything comes into my mind that I've got planned new for the day, just write it down and yeah, just get it all out on paper. That really, really helps.
Yeah, that's amazing, bro. And I hope more people dive into that realm of, I guess, like a self-care routine, because doing journaling or doing brain dumping as I do, it just helps so much, because I feel like when you have so much thoughts or information to process in your brain, you can't get anything more in, and it's very hard to get out unless you have a source to put it to. Something like writing or brain dumping is so key, because I remember 2 months ago, I ran a in-person podcast event, and before or during the planning stages, it was just chaos in my head of like how I'm going to make this event happen. I went to my whiteboard, wrote everything down. I remember literally within seconds, I felt relief, and I looked at the whiteboard and I'm like, this is a lot less hectic than I thought it was. It's actually pretty simple, but just because I
Yeah.
got it out of my head, it made it more simple.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, if you're able to look at something, yeah, all laid out, it would be a lot more simple. And it also does help you for how your future is going to be presented, because you can just like go through the dot points and bullet points. But I used to hate when I came online. I used to hear about people journal, because I just think, oh, it's all right, I get it, but it's not something you get until you actually do.
Mm.
So I know it sounds repetitive, but just try it. Just like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes of your time. And yeah, don't knock it till you try it for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to touch on one last thing on getting sober because I feel like you'd relate to this as well. Like when you first get sober, it can seem very daunting and scary being able to see how you're going to face those challenges along the way. But instead, I find looking at it in a positive sense, thinking, imagine the person you're going to become on the journey of becoming sober, like how much resilience you're going to have, how much confidence you're going to get, how much willpower you're going to build within yourself. Like the characteristics that you build within becoming sober far outweigh any challenges that actually come up during that journey.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what life do I want to live? Do I want to live a successful life? Like, if I get sober, there's a chance that I could probably possibly get rich. There's a chance that, I can have everything that I've ever wanted. Like, for example, in 2 weeks, I've done like $5 video messages for my fans that have asked me to send them a video message, which is absolutely, I'm honored and humbled. Like, so nice to be able to do that and be paid for it. And with that money, back in my old days, it would have been gone by now. I would have went to the casino, got drinks, and had a good time, like gambling and doing drugs, all that type of stuff. But with the money that I was gifted from my fans, within 2 weeks, I got a brand new like road bike, which is the one behind me right there.
Yeah, sick, bad.
Yeah, and I'm just able to like get things that like that my inner child would always want. And like with sobriety comes consistency of the days that you're counting: day one, day two, month two, year one. And then you start to learn a formula that you can implement with every other thing in your life, including days that you've spent with people that you love, or money, like counting all your dollars to the bank. And like, yeah, there's just so much. It's like, what life do I want to live, and how am I going to achieve my goals? And sobriety is literally the only way, because you have to have focus. And if any distractions are pulling you away from that focus, then you're not going to get it, because there's no chance.
And I find that the belief it gives you with any like future adventure you go on is unreal as well. Because if you have a new challenge in your life, maybe it's growing in career, business, maybe it's any realm of your life, you can reflect back at getting sober and you can be like, if I did that, I can definitely do this.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, every other challenge just seems a lot easier. It's not simple, but you know that if I follow a certain formula, I'm going to achieve the desired goal that I want to, because I've done this with one of the hardest things that I've had to do, which is take my brain and my physical body away from something that was holding me prisoner and captured. If I got out of that jail, then I can break into anything that I want to.
Yeah, 100%. And like with that, do you also do many visualization? Like, do you do visualization or meditation or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm at the moment I'm visualizing it's a white Porsche 911.
Oh.
um, but yeah, I do, like, on a serious topic. One of the things that I do visualize is laughter and happiness of my family, and that's that's the main thing that pulled me into sobriety. I'm not sure, I've spoken about this before, but I'm not sure, on the night of my mum's 50th birthday, which is very hard for me to say, if I either had an overdose, which was a heart attack and my heart stopped, or if it was just a plain straight out hallucination. But either way, I went onto the other side. And what pulled me back was, I asked myself, why do I want to come back here? And my why was my family, to be there for my family, not because they need me, but because I want to be there for them in any way, shape, or form, so they're able to come and speak to me, just communicate with me without thinking, oh, he's on a come down, he's not going to be able to talk, or he's too high and he is over rationalizing things. Just a steady person to come and talk to, or to laugh with, or to be a shoulder to cry on. I decided to come back to be there for them. And since that day, I've not wanted to touch a single substance. But in saying that, for the first 6 months of my sobriety, I was smoking cigarettes because, as you probably know, nicotine is one of the hardest drugs to kick. And some people say it's harder than heroin and meth. And that took me a while, but I got there. I ended up like quitting like cigarettes and vapes and that type of crap, just because I noticed that even though it's not a crazy big addiction, it's still a slow killer, and it is distracting me from my main goal and taking me away from my main focus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because like cigarettes are so hard to quit. Like I was abusing nearly every type of drug you can think of when I was addicted, but
yeah,
smoking cigarettes because like it's so repetitive, like how much you do it. I found
yeah.
that's why it was so hard. There was so many like elements of my own self I had to overcome, like hand gestures or having something in my hand. Like just the littlest things made it so hard to overcome nicotine.
Yeah, man. And for me, it was like when I finish a meal, I'll have a smoke. When I'm excited, I have a smoke. When I'm upset, I have a smoke. When after I have a shower, it ends up becoming such like. And then what was worse after cigarettes was vaping, because vapes you can take into your bed, and you can, as when you wake up, you can put it like straight to your face. Like that's like even in the shower, you can. I was taking it in the shower. Like that's how bad my vaping addiction was. And you just realize like what type of person you are. You're just a fiend. And I really looked at myself in the mirror when it came to vapes and cigarettes and just thought, you look so needy and clingy. How are you ever supposed to be in a relationship if you can't even be there for yourself?
Hmm. Well, a deep like realization to
Yeah,
have.
yeah,
Yeah. And I feel like it just comes from the guilt that comes because just because something's legal doesn't mean it doesn't have a negative effect on your life. I know some people may have like a social smoke, and that's fine. I do believe it comes down to like how you use things. But like if you are seeing patterns of yourself where you're too reliant on something, then you have to reflect within yourself like you did and be like, well, maybe something needs to change.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think intuitively every single person knows what's good for them in their body. Like sugar is legal, but it's not good for you in like a lot of amounts. So you have to kind of just know. Everyone knows intuitively, and everyone's looking for answers online. But like what I would say is just look in within yourself and listen to that small little voice that's telling you probably shouldn't be doing this.
I want to ask a question from a little bit before when you said that experience at your mum's 50th and you understood the why of life because you want to be there for your family. Do you think that was one of the biggest times in your life where you understood yourself or maybe your mission in life is to be with your family? Like, was that one of the key moments of understanding that?
Yeah, I felt like it was a complete rebirth of myself.
Mm.
I felt like this is the reason why I'm here. This is who I am. I am somebody that is here for everybody. But for me to be here for everybody, first, I need to work on myself and treat myself good and be the person that I want to be for everybody else. So, yeah, it was a complete rebirth. And I don't know who I was before that realization came about.
Mm. So it leads me to the question, if you don't mind me asking, like growing up and becoming famous at a young age and going on world tours and everyone knowing you, what was it like with, I guess, self-identity or knowing who you were? I would guess that people that have an idea who Beau is and then who you truly are, then also
Yeah.
decide where you feel like you have to show up as the version that everyone else sees you as. I can imagine that would be such a challenging thing to juggle for you. Like, what's that experience like for you?
Yeah, for me, I really did put a lot of value in how many people would notice me. It was something that I I wanted, because I wanted people to appreciate me, and the more people that appreciated me, it's kind of like an addiction. I got like a high from, and I started playing into the character of the version of myself that people wanted to see, and I played into that character for so long that I forgot every other single little part that makes me me. And yeah, it became kind of like an addiction to keep falling back into and to just keep outdoing myself and to do crazier shit that will get more attention for myself. And what I've realized over time is that the only person that I need to appreciate me is me. And at the end of the day, even though I'm not attracting a large crowd anymore by drinking 3 liters of milk or eating dog shit, the crowd that I am attracting appreciates me for appreciating myself. And at the end of the day, if that's able to help people, then that is such an awesome bonus. And the foundation that I did build in my past from doing the crazy shit and making people laugh has led me into the point where I'm able to help people get out of situations that I was stuck in also. So yeah, as I said, it's a full circle. And even though I was an addict in my past, it is a part of who I am. And I do love that part about myself, and I do forgive myself for that part of who I was. And yeah, from every setback and every failure, I've said this before, and I know it sounds cliche and corny, but it's so fucking true. From every setback and failure comes a setup and a massive comeback. And you need to use those failures as opportunities and use those small windows of time that you get of realization that you've failed to use that into becoming a better version of yourself. And it's in those windows of small time where you show strength and you show resilience and you come out winning. And yeah, it's so crazy how much I've learned within just 1 year of and I'm so excited and I just can't stop talking about it. So
yeah, I can see the smile on your face, brother. It's awesome to see, and it's such a good message to hear as well, because like you're talking back and reflecting on experiences you've had in your life and how you're using that as wisdom to become better. And I really do believe that pain plus reflection equals progress. So if we use the experience we've had in our life, whether positive or negative, if we use that as experience to become better and do greater things within ourselves and our own lives, I feel like that's the magic of life, because I don't feel like any of us are exempt from pain and suffering in life. I feel like it's how we cope with that and use it as something positive to create a good change in our life is what really means with it.
that's it, man. And that's why I love running and that's why I love endurance, because throughout the 4 hours, I'm running my first marathon tomorrow. Throughout the 4 hours, I'm going to experience all that pain in my head. And I know that I've trained myself hard enough to not succumb to the pain and give up, but use that pain to take me all the way to the end and come out victorious and accomplished. And I think that's the magic of life. It's pushing through the pain and taking the pain in your stride to show strength and resilience.
Oh, amen. And was that like a big part of you wanting to start Lookup as well, the clothing brand? Was that a big part of the why behind it?
So the reason I created Lookup was because I had another clothing brand and it was called Dirty Pig, and I had that for about 11 years, and I got into some trouble with some trademark issues, and I was so devastated because it was kind of my income and just kind of like what I love to do. Um, and I created the brand Look Up because all I could do at that moment of failure was look up. And I noticed it wasn't just the clothing brand that symbolized this, but it was every aspect of my entire life, that no matter in the depths of despair, to look up. And no matter what situation you're in, is to look up. And it's just, yeah, that this brand, this clothing brand is just, it's everything in my life. So it's cool that I'm able to create cool clothes, and clothes have always been a passion. So it's kind of just fallen in with the message as well. It's a message first, and then it's a clothing brand, which is so sick because I love dope clothes.
Yeah, no doubt. And like it's a really cool way to get like a community of people together as well within clothing, because you see someone else wearing the same clothing as you, the same branding, and it kind of
Yeah,
feels like the same community as well.
yeah. You see someone wearing the same clothing, and you're like, I know what you know, type of thing.
Yeah.
So that would be so cool if it could end up going commercial like that, and people could see other people out in the streets wearing the same brand of like Look Up. And it's kind of like Nike just do it. People, but I feel like Nike's way too commercialized now. You don't even think about the message; you just see the tick.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. But yeah, it's something that I've always wanted to do, to have something meaningful that refers back to my inner child as a part of my art and creation into this world and output into this world. So yeah, it's a fun hobby for me at the moment. As you know, as a lot of people know on the internet, I've got a 9 to 5 job, and I'm looking at getting a second 9 to 5 job while running my hobby, which is the Lookup Clothing Brand on the side. So at the end of the day, like, I'm not reliant on selling the clothing, and I'm not going to go online and beg people to buy the clothing. The best thing about it is the people that buy it want to buy it, even if it's only 7 people. It's like, fuck yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not selling myself. Like, yeah.
100%. And if you like that helps with like just not just helps, I mean, do you think that adds more like integrity to your happiness it brings to the brand because you're not out there like sweating your ass off,
Yeah.
having to push it, having to get into people's DMs, messages 1,000 people a day type thing. Instead, it's more so this is me, my journey, this is the community I'm building. This is the awesome stuff I'm pushing. If you want to be a part of it, come a part of it.
That's it. Yeah. And that's all it's about. It's not about creating a clothing brand to, make money off people. It's not. It's like, do you want to be part of the journey? Like, even if you don't buy the clothes and you're part of the journey, like, mad, awesome. Like, thank you at the end of the day. Like, that, and one thing that I do love about having a 9 to 5 job is that I have learned the value of an honest, hardworking dollar, and to go to work to be able to provide for my household and to put in hard work. I think it's important to know what hard work is, and then to come back and spend the remaining free time on things that I love to do, which are my hobbies, and spending time with my family. So, yeah, I really think that the best thing that I did for myself coming out of fame was humble the fuck down and say, you're nothing more than anybody else. Go work in a junkyard, go work in a peanut factory, because at the end of the day, we're all equal. So I think that's one of the best things that I did, was just to accept that, okay, like, my career has failed, and what do you need to do now in order to survive? You need to do exactly what 99% of the rest of the population are doing, and just shut up and get a job. And so that's what I did. And like, even if I get crazy rich, famous ever again, I'm always going to work a 9 to 5 job, like, always, because I'll always have time to work on myself as well. So,
And plus, it seems like the path you're on now, becoming rich and famous, it's more connected to who you are and what you want out of it, rather than a perception on who Beau is. Instead, it's actually who Beau actually is. That's the
yeah,
brand.
yeah. Yeah, my mum has even said to me, she's like, "I'm very proud of you. Your authenticity is showing," which is like huge to hear from, like, your parent. Like, so that really resonated with me, and I know that it's authenticity, and I know that it's genuine, and I know that everything that I'm doing is authentic, because everything that I'm doing is so fucking hard. Every single day is a grind. It's a mission, just to do the best that I can. Like, whether it's running or being 20 minutes early to my job every single day, showing up on time and doing the job right. And then going online and talking about it, it's genuine. Like, you can't fake that. Like, yeah. So I do think the people that I'm reaching, and the people that do appreciate me for me, it's real. Like, and I do, yeah.
How, like, for yourself, bro, like, how did you develop self-awareness? Because at the moment, it seems like your self-awareness is really good. Like, you're really able to pinpoint maybe certain habits within yourself, certain thought process you may not like, or when you said before, you have to really humble yourself and come back to grounding. Like, how did you develop self-awareness? Did you have it at a young age and you had to refine it, or was it a skill that you had to, I guess, curate within yourself?
I think, yeah, it's definitely, everyone's got it. It's inside everyone. It's listening to your into your inner self. I remember as a kid, I quit soft drink for like 3 years, like fizzy drinks. And I ended up getting like 10 people in my high school to stop drinking fizzy drinks, and everyone was counting the days that they gave up fizzy drinks as well. So I feel like self-awareness is just realizing what is like best for yourself, and I feel like a big part of my self-awareness is people validating me. It is because you need community at the end of the day. That's why building a community is so important, because people will be there to validate you for the right things that you're doing. And what sucks about it is that a lot of people won't tell you you're doing the wrong thing when you're doing the wrong thing. So it is hard to find self-awareness when you're stuck in a bad zone, mainly because people don't want to feel like they're bringing you down or say the wrong things to hurt you and to make the situation worse. But people will validate you when you're doing the right thing. So it all starts with just doing one right thing and getting that validation, and then finding it within yourself, saying, okay, I've got that small bit of validation. Now I can validate myself moving forward.
That's like, yeah, that's great. That's a good realization. It's like positive feedback.
Yeah.
Like when I think about myself as a younger, like in my teenage years when I went through school, I used to hate getting told what not to do, but I used to love getting positive feedback on the things I was doing right. And when I'd get positive feedback on those things, it made me want to do more good stuff because I'm getting recognition for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight up. Yeah. Yeah. It's like training my dog. Like, yeah, it's very similar. You have to reward people for doing the right thing so they can continue doing the right thing to seek more reward.
Do you reward yourself much? Like say you get to like 30 days sober, you take yourself out for lunch or things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I do. Yeah, and sometimes I reward myself. It could be like a cheat meal or something. I love at the end of my like really long runs, I'll have about 5,000 calories. Like, but because my body needs it, but at the same time, I'll have like food that I really love.
What's your
So
go-to food?
I'd pasta bolognese, 100%. But like in saying that, every now and then I'll go have KFC. Like I'll have a ultimate box, which sucks because I tell everyone online I'm a vegan. I'll get to this. I eat predominantly plant-based, so I eat as much as I can plants because I know that this is going to replenish me and send good nutrients through my blood flow and all that good stuff. But I do have meat every now and then. I eat meat at my grandparents' place, and when my mum cooks for me, I'll have meat. I'll never reject anybody's cooking ever. And also, when I reward myself, I love an ultimate box from KFC.
Yeah, it's like that 80-20% rule, like 80-20. I find there's
Yeah,
like a good balance in life, like 80% following a path and following certain things, and 20% like little leeway to still enjoy the other things in life as well.
yeah, that's it. And the same with finances as well. I find people are like, "Oh yeah, you save, but you don't have fun." It's like I do have fun. I just don't have as much fun as you. I'll save 70% and I'll spend 30. That type of thing. Yeah, it's all a balance. As long as you're doing mostly everything correct, except for when it comes to alcohol and substance. That is just 100-0. Like that's what, yeah, 100%, 100-0. But with everything else, yeah, it's about balance for sure.
I feel like there's other ways to have fun too. Like I assume at the moment for you, like having fun is building your lookup brand. I assume having fun for you is going online and pushing the positive message. Another thing would be running and exercise, and like you've really redefined what fun is as well. Do you find?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Fun for me is like, can I get to like 55 Ks on my bike? Like that's fun. That is really fun. How far can I run is like really fun for me as well. Yeah, like I find my biggest accomplishments are the most fun for me. And even packing orders and writing down messages to the people that get an order from me, that's fun. And it puts a smile on my face. And then inviting people into my world and doing it with them and seeing their perspective from their eyes for the first time in a world that I've created is fun for me too.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, yeah, because you end up just finding new things. I always found that long-term gratification is always better than the short-term gratification. So short-term could be drugs and alcohol and substances, but long-term things is getting your health in check, maybe building a good community, building a good brand, and doing things that really have longevity attached to it.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it. And I feel like you only know if you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, if you've gone through it, you really, really appreciate long-term gratification. And it's like the longer you hold off, the bigger the celebration and the bigger the reward. Yeah. Like with my Lookup brand, nobody knew, but I was building it behind the scenes for over like 8 months. I was building it quietly until I knew when I wanted to release it. It was when I had all the stock, I'd done a photo shoot, but it was also when I started going viral on social media. I wanted to wait until everything kicked off, until I did an official hard launch. And before then, I was wearing the Lookup brand in all my videos, but never released or announced that I was releasing a brand. So now when people look back 4 or 5 months, they'll see that I was wearing my brand. I was just very quiet about it. And that's long-term gratification. That is building something in silence, quiet, hard work, not looking for any reward in the near future, but holding off until it's ready and it's ready to come for you in life.
Do you think that's something you learned probably within the last 15 years of doing everything from the Janoskians and all the brands and I guess the things that you've done over the years really gave you the experience into building something like Lookup and knowing when to release it, when to announce it, and all those things?
Yeah, yeah. It was a process of over 15 years of just building like myself and just, yeah, really reflecting on every single part of my life. And yeah, I couldn't have built the brand if I didn't go through what I had gone through. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome, man. Like, because it also makes me wonder as well, like, because you've been all around the world multiple times. Like, what's some of maybe perspectives you've learned within yourself from seeing so many areas of the world? Because you always hear people say once they travel, it changes their perspective on life. Like, did
Yeah.
traveling have that similar impact to you?
Yeah, yeah, and it did. And someone just reached out to me like a couple days ago and was like, I see that you're working a 9 to 5 now, and my job at the moment is traveling while working on my computer. And she's like, I wish that I had what you had, because what you learn from traveling is that building a strong foundation with your community is what's most important. If we go back all the way to our ancestors' caveman days, is that we survive in community of people that we trust and that we know, and to be able to be a functioning, not only a functioning, but a very helpful member of your society and your small community, and not leaving that, is you can't replace it with anything else. Because yeah, yeah, I learned that from traveling, because traveling can get very lonely because you see new faces all the time and you don't know what people are about and they don't know you, so they can't put their trust in you. And I feel like a big part of becoming a great person is finding trust within yourself and people around you, which is you can't really get from traveling. You do see beautiful places and different cultures and different foods, but at the end of the day, the place that you're born is the place you should appreciate the most, and the foods that you've grown up with, and
Yeah,
yeah,
chicken palmies.
yeah, and the meat pies, bro. It's so
It's so true that like really embracing where you're from as well, because I like for some reason I see some people that always like to talk down where they're from and like to find ways to think of the negatives about it. But like I'm originally from England, but I grew up in Brisbane from the age of 10 years old. And I love Brisbane there. Like it's one of my favorite places in the world. And like I couldn't live anywhere else. Like I just yeah, I love it up here.
Yeah, yeah. I've had a mate, Liam Ferrari. He's a singer.
Yeah.
He's out of Melbourne, and he just went to Los Angeles like a few months ago. And he messages me, and he's like, "Bro, like, I need to come back." He's like, and I'm like, "Bro, come back. That's not your home. Like, it's not your home. You can do whatever you want to do in LA here. If you want to be in movies, you can be in movies here. If you want to create number 1 hit tracks, I promise you, if you find it within yourself, you'll create a number 1 hit track right here at home if you work hard enough. The end of
100%.
yeah, you can get anything that you're searching for outside of your hometown, right in your hometown, and help your homeboys and like everyone in your area realize the same thing. Which is like why when I'm running marathons and ultra marathons, I'm beginning in Craigieburn and I'm going out. Like I start here and people are like, oh, it's not an official marathon because you're not doing an actual race. I'm like, this is an official marathon for me because I'm putting Craigieburn on the map and I'm showing everyone in my area that you can do it too.
Mm. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a flag off in the air and run. Like, and literally, just, as long as you do the distance, like it's still a marathon, I find.
Marathon, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
care about any medals or any of that stuff, Yeah, by the end of this year, my goal is to run from Craigieburn all the way to Geelong within 12 hours, and that's 100 kilometers.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I have some bigger goals after that, but I want to like knock down that one first. Yeah, and as I said, the reason I'm doing it from Craigieburn is to remind everyone in my hometown that you can do anything that you set your mind to, even if you're working 9 to 5, even if you're running your own business, even if you're working two 9 to 5 jobs, like you can do it.
You can still do it. There's always a way.
Yeah, even though like we live in a low, income area, there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
No, not at all. And like with the training for that, like what is your training look like? Are you run like X amount of Ks a week to be able to do the 100 Ks?
Yeah, so I started off 5 months ago with a 10-minute run. And it started off day one, 10-minute run, and then 5 days a week of just small bits of training till up to now about 200 kilometers per month, which is about 50 kilometers per week. For the ultra, it's going to be about over 100 kilometers per week, so over 400 kilometers per month to train up for that. And the reason I have to do that is to get my bone density strong and my muscles around my bones strong enough to be able to handle that type of endurance.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, because it will be a bit of a hit on the body, but it's good that you started with just 10 minutes runs per day rather than just going straight and trying to like push yourself to the edge in a 10K run straight away. Instead of
No,
like
no,
doing that 1% daily and building yourself up and building the capabilities of your body to be able to handle that.
yeah, because what you're going to do if you go straight for a 10K is cop injury straight away, and then you lose confidence. And it's not just in running; it's as you said, the 1% every day. It's with everything. If you jump straight into something big, you're probably going to get yourself injured.
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever tried those nasal strips that you put on your nose?
Someone reached out to me actually. I looked into it. It looked interesting, but no, I haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, I found them awesome when I started running. I had a company send some out, and I remember I did a 3K run and I was gassed the day before. Then the day after, I wanted to try the nasal strip on to see the improvement. I went from running 3Ks to 5Ks, and I was like, improved 2 kilometers just by having a nasal strip. So it
No
completely
way.
just opens up your airways. I think it's by 15% or something, but it just gets more oxygen into your body.
Yeah, you got to send me. Do you say you have a business?
No, not me. I had a company send me some for the
Oh, okay,
podcast.
yeah.
But yeah, I'll link you in with them
Cool.
because they're awesome.
Yeah, sick, sick. Definitely something I'd put on then. Try out. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
weird how that can, like, yeah.
Yeah, because it like it top of your nostrils are quite closed. So apparently it opens them up by 15%. So you get
Okay.
15% more oxygen into your brain and body.
Yeah, sick. I'm always about getting that extra bit of self-improvement for sure. That sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah.
sick. We'll
So
try that out.
are you want to do like triathlons as well? Because I heard you said before like you're running, you're swimming, and you're cycling. Is that something you're looking forward to as well in life?
Yeah, triathlons are nothing for me. I could go do a triathlon right now. I want to do an Ironman, that is nuts.
Yeah.
Ironman is a 4 kilometer swim, 180-kilometer bike ride, and then a 42.2K marathon run, all within like 15 hours. Yeah, that's what I'm training for that. So
Yeah, mad.
yeah, I'd love to be able to do one of those. I'm scared thinking about it, but at the same time, excited. Man, if I could put Iron Man in my bio, that is so sick.
Yeah, 100%. Like having one of those medals up at the house that like just to reflect on knowing you overcame like something so difficult.
Yeah, I think it's like 0.0000005% of everybody in this world has ever done an Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge, huge accomplishment, and it just takes so much grit, willpower, and strength, mental resilience to be able to do something like that. Which is like I already know that I can do it, but yeah, I just need to do it now. Yeah,
Yeah. Do you reckon you'll get that 100 Ks out the way first and then look towards the Ironman
yeah,
after that?
Yeah, that's my first goal. I want to get the 100Ks out of the way. By the time I get to the 100Ks, I know that 100% I'll be fit enough to be able to complete an Ironman.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be marathon tomorrow, 100 kilometers by the end of the year, and then probably a couple triathlons, Ironman, and then by next year, I want to run from Melbourne to Sydney in 30 days.
Yeah, man.
Like I think it's 22 consecutive marathons back to back every single day, which would be yeah really cool to do.
Oh, sick. I'm really keen to see that journey.
Yeah, bro. Keen to share it. Keen to share it and get people fucking sober.
Yeah, get people sober, get the Lookup brand out there as well. And yeah, that's gonna be amazing.
That's it, bro. I appreciate that, man.
Before we get into the community Q&As, because we had a few come through, I just want to ask you, brother, like, do you have any final words you want to share before we get into the next segment of the show?
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody, one, never give up. Two, you are never too old to conquer any of your goals. And three, you are much stronger than what you think you are right now.
Amen.
All right, cool.
Cheers for that, brother. So our first question from the community was, how do you deal with any negativity from social media? Someone asked.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I take every small little problem and turn it into an opportunity. And what I have been doing a lot with a lot of negative comments is replying back to them and showing the public online how I do deal with them. Negative comments, they don't bother me. And the reason why is because a negative comment is like a fishing line. Somebody's throwing that negative comment into your comments to see if anybody can validate them and make them feel like what their opinion is accepted by anyone else. It's almost like asking for a friend. People are chucking these negative comments online on under your post. It just so happens to be to validate themselves, and it's it's just another form of yeah. It's a very weird thing that the internet has created, but it's just people really searching for love in the most simplest way. So I
That's
take
true.
that into account when I read negative comments, is to say that this person probably just wants a friend.
You have a need that's not being met.
Yeah, a need that's not being met and it's being taken out on me. And sometimes it is very like directed at me. And it just like for me, it actually kind of makes me smile because when I wasn't getting negative comments, a lot of my stuff wasn't being seen. So same time, yeah.
Yeah, that's good because one thing I find is that perception is projection. So if someone's projecting something out there into the world, usually is a reflection back of it themselves. So if someone is leaving a negative comment on your social media, not to take it personal, usually it's more about them than it is you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It is
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
Our next one was, what's your favorite memory from the Janoskians days?
It's a good one. It would probably be my favorite memory would be calling my mum and saying, check your bank account, go get a house that you want.
Wow.
Yeah, that was probably yeah, one of the coolest, nicest memories for me.
Wow, what a dream of a feeling, eh? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I remember where I was too. I was on Ventura Boulevard in the back of our car, and we had just got the lawyers to sign off on yeah, a deal. And yeah, we're like, yeah, mom. And she's like, no way. Yeah, that was really cool.
I was
Yeah.
about to say, what was mum's reaction like to that?
Oh my God, my babies. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you and your brothers must have been so proud in that moment, being able to do something and give back to your mum in that way.
Yeah, yeah, it was a very nice moment between us brothers, and we got to share that together. But at the same time, we would have got into a lot of trouble by our grandparents if we didn't. They would have belted us.
Bit of accountability.
That was definitely a cool moment. Thanks for that
Right.
question.
Our next one is, what's your favorite self-care practice?
Yeah, this is probably very obvious. My favorite self-care practice is running. I find that's my meditation. That's, yeah, my self-reflection. It's my confidence. It's my joy. It's also my pain. It's my struggle. It's
Yeah.
everything in one. So yeah, running is definitely my self-care.
Oh,
My
awesome.
self-care practice.
Love that. We have another one here saying, someone asked, do you hate when people bring up the Janoskians to you?
No, like I sometimes do get like a little bit frustrated because it's something that like I'd love to move on from, but at the same time, like it's something that I just have to accept, even if I do get angry or frustrated about it, because it is my past and it is part of who I am. So even though sometimes it does frustrate me because I'm trying to move on into other things, I can't be angry because it's given me the platform and foundation to allow myself to build myself up.
Yeah, 100%. And our last question that we have here is, what's one of the things you're most proud about yourself?
Um, yeah, I'd probably say the thing that I'm most proud about is my sobriety. It's definitely 100% like, yeah, nobody can take that away from me. And at the end of the day, it's given me a foundation to, yeah, do everything that I do and love.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
awesome, bro. I'm proud of you, brother, and I'm also probably speaking on behalf of a lot of people here, saying like we're all proud of you, bro. Like,
Thank you,
and
brother.
you've inspired so many of us as well. Like even with myself, when I told you like 12 years ago, I made me first ever piece of content on the internet because
Yeah,
of
bro.
yourself and yeah, the Janoskians, and then now you're inspiring so many people with the journey you're on now with the fitness, whether it's through Lookup, whether it's through pushing the positive message, whether it's through sobriety. Like you're doing so many awesome things, bro. So thank you for showing up and thank you for being you, brother. We all appreciate
Thanks for taking me back. Love you guys.
it.
Now, honestly, let's get it.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.